What is the feeling of infinite space? The feeling of the absence of walls and containment, while simultaneously feeling like you're going to collide into something or someone. When you become a part of what you would typically be looking at and up to, the gap and barrier has been removed between the viewer and the maker. Janssens creates this disorientating confrontation with her work, Yellowbluepink. She invites the viewer to walk into the painting and be a physical part of the piece, rather than looking at it on a white wall. You are basking in untouchable yet tactile colour which floods around you and seeps into the foreseeable expanse. It becomes clear that you are the piece. You are becoming part of history, and your reception and counteraction is just as significant as the piece, naturally placing an inquisition against the white cube theory and questioning its main construct of using plain walls to minimise distraction around you. Installations suggest that the receptions of art are inextricably intertwined with a particular viewer at a particular moment, thus becoming a moment of history. Mary Stanislavski. The notion of playing with the space in or around a piece of artwork and thinking about how it can affect the interpretation and takeaway of the art is exactly what Janssens does. The viewer describes feeling disorientated by the fog and the lights and unsure of what is around them or where it leads to. It's the feeling of movement. The piece is becoming something bigger than just a picture on a white wall. It becomes tangible and alive. It gains spirit and sustenance. A visit to the Tate in St Ives provoked thoughts about the much-used white cube theory, which has now become a typical experience of a modern-day art gallery, a sterile, empty and unpolluted space. I felt there was an overwhelming amount of blank space, and thoughts of what it potentially could be filled with were endless. What does it mean when the space around the artwork is blank? Does it lack context and meaning, or does it leave space for imagination and interpretation? Frederick Keisler stated, "The piece of work is no longer seen as an isolated entity, but must be considered within the context of this expanding environment. The environment becomes equally as important as the object." The motion of the fog and the placement of the lights gives this piece a living feeling, a sense there is somebody else there with you. You are having a physical conversation with the piece. The experience and participatory elements of Yellowbluepink leave a mark in your memory. Liszewski states, "The reception of art occurs within an ever-changing interaction between the viewer and the artwork." His piece Abstract Cabinet, 1927-28, consisted of shutters which moved when a person would walk past, illustrating the physical presence of the viewer but also the livelihood of the piece itself. The participatory element in this piece was huge, as you can see. In an attempt to encompass the essence and point of my research, I resorted to using my hands. The tactility of colour was unquestionable and the process was personal. I think a suitable term is the becoming of art, the act of giving it life, giving it a body, giving it energy and persona, something becoming more than. Janssens is bridging the gap between the piece of art and the viewer. I am interested in closing it between the world and the art world, trying to get rid of the white walls, the white plinths, the white surroundings, which all quietly but significantly separate the artist and the viewer. Janssens' piece that she created is a modern take on individual perception. It forces the viewer to question the materiality or immateriality of colour and light. You don't need to explain this work because it's about you and your experience within the environment, said Emily Sargent, the curator of Yellowbluepink. My thoughts are that within the modern-day art world, there is a huge range of techniques, methods and tricks to make art, all which, like us, are ever evolving. Art comes from life, it comes from our experiences as people, as artists, and I really believe the greatest way to reach other individuals is to bring them a brand new encounter, an emotive, immersive, indelible feeling, which becomes part of their history, as well as the piece of art's history. Janssens leaves this lingering feeling of wonder and curiosity in the visitor's memory. Without using any blank space or any white plinths, the person becomes deeply, almost spiritually connected to this mesmerising, transcendental encounter, which will be bound to stay on the minds and tongues of the spectators for the near and further future.